At 7 p.m., 300 armed officers stormed Banco Rio and found 23 hostages alive, but not one robber. The vault below them stood open, 147 boxes stripped, while toy guns waited on a table upstairs. For 6 hours, snipers watched every door and window in Argentina's richest suburb. No one saw 6 men leave the most heavily watched building in Acassuso. Then police found a handwritten note that made the humiliation even stranger. To understand how a hostage siege became a disappearance, the story had to go back 27 months. Fernando Araujo was not a criminal. He was an artist, a painter and martial arts instructor in Buenos Aires, with no criminal record or underworld ties. What he had was a particular way of seeing the world. The way architects see buildings, the way chess players see boards. He looked at systems and saw their gaps. He looked at security and saw its assumptions. He looked at a bank and saw a performance waiting to happen. In September of 2004, Araujo stood on the sidewalk across from the Banco Rio branch in Acassuso. It was a quiet afternoon. Cumbia drifted from a passing car. The bank's customers came and went, wealthy residents of one of Buenos Aires' most exclusive neighborhoods.
This won't be a robbery. This will be a performance.
Over the next weeks, he visited repeatedly as a customer, mapping cameras, guard shifts, teller positions, and the basement vault. But it was underneath the bank that Araujo found the answer. Buenos Aires sits on top of one of the most extensive sewer networks in South America. A labyrinth of tunnels and drainage channels running beneath every street, every building, every bank. Araujo studied the municipal drainage maps. He traced the sewer lines closest to the bank. And he found what he was looking for, a connection point. But Araujo did not know yet that this sewer line would one day carry 6 men past nearly 300 officers. The front door was the distraction. The real exit was underground. He sketched it out on paper, a tunnel, hand-dug, reinforced, invisible from the surface, connecting the bank's vault floor to the existing sewer infrastructure. From there, a waterborne escape through the tunnels to a vehicle parked more than a kilometer away. The concept was audacious, the scale was enormous, and the timeline was clear. 2 years of preparation. That was phase 1, designing the escape, the tunnel, and the illusion. What came next would test silence, loyalty, and more than 700 days of patience. He would need specialists, an engineer who could build the tunnel, a performer who could run the distraction, vault experts who could work fast. He would need funding, materials, and a crew that could hold a $20 million secret for over 700 days. Fernando Araujo, the artist, the martial arts instructor, had just designed the most elaborate bank robbery in Argentine history. Now he needed to build a team that could execute it. The first recruit was the most important. Sebastián García Bolster was an engineer called the Martian for ideas that seemed to come from another planet. He saw structural loads, soil, drainage, and profit where everyone else just saw dirt. Araujo met him at a cafe in Buenos Aires. He laid out the concept. A tunnel from a nearby rented space under the street, through the foundation, and into the bank vault. From the vault, a connection to the sewer system. From the sewer, boats.
The soil is clay-heavy beneath the pavement. It'll hold its shape, but construction takes 3 months minimum, possibly more.
3 months of digging underground. 3 months of removing dirt in bags. 3 months where a single miscalculation, a cave-in, a sinking patch of sidewalk, a gas line strike would end everything. If the tunnel roof sagged even a few centimeters, the sidewalk above could expose 27 months of planning. One cracked gas line or one patch of sinking pavement, and the entire operation would surface early. Garcia Bolster agreed to build it. The second recruit was equally critical, but his job was above ground. Mario Vitet Selanes was a man who understood pressure. Not engineering pressure, human pressure. The kind of pressure that comes from having nearly 300 armed officers pointing weapons at you while you pretend to hold hostages. Araujo's plan required a distraction so convincing that every officer would remain focused on the front of the building for a minimum of 6 hours. That distraction was Vitet Selanes. Vitet knew how to command a room, but he did not know the audience would number 300. That revelation was still 27 months away, on a summer Friday in Acassuso.
You're not taking hostages, you're putting on a show.
Vitet enrolled in theater classes and rehearsed how to stall, soothe, and control negotiations. He practiced releasing hostages, asking for food, and projecting calm so police would delay a breach. On Heist Day, that performance had to hold nearly 300 armed officers for 6 hours. Alberto Beto de la Torre was the vault specialist, a man whose hands moved with surgical precision. De la Torre's job: open 147 safe deposit boxes in under 6 hours. That was roughly one box every 2.5 minutes. Speed was everything. Every minute De La Torre saved was a minute of safety margin. The remaining 2 crew members completed the 6-man team. On a night in late 2004, all 6 gathered in Araujo's apartment around a wooden table. Blueprints covered the surface. Araujo laid down the operational code. No real weapons. Toy guns only. Replicas indistinguishable from the real thing, but incapable of firing a single bullet. No violence. Not against hostages, not against police, not against anyone.
If anyone brings a real weapon, I walk. This is art, not war.
6 men, 27 months, no firearms. The crew was assembled. Now came the hardest part, building a tunnel that nobody could see. The tunnel started from a rented space near the bank. A storefront that Araujo leased under a false name. From the inside, it looked like any small business under renovation. Beneath the floor, Garcia Bolster went to work. The engineering challenge was staggering. The tunnel needed to travel horizontally under the street and through the bank's concrete foundation into the vault level, while remaining structurally sound, while remaining invisible from the surface, while generating zero noise, zero vibration, and zero evidence. Garcia Bolster dug at night. He reinforced the walls with wooden supports. He removed the excavated earth in small bags, carried out through the storefront like construction waste. Every swing of the pickaxe was measured, calculated, dampened. The work took months. Some nights, he moved centimeters. Progress was measured in patience. Meanwhile, above ground, the rest of the crew rehearsed. Araujo mapped out the operation minute by minute. The entire heist was a choreography. 2 simultaneous performances running on parallel tracks. Track 1, the above-ground distraction. Vitet would take the bank at exactly 1:05 p.m. He would initiate the hostage scenario. He would negotiate, concede, delay, buying time in increments of minutes and hours. Track 2, the below-ground operation. While Vitet performed, the vault team would descend through the tunnel. They would empty every safe deposit box. They would pack the contents. And when finished, exit through the tunnel into the sewer system. From 1:05 p.m. to 7 p.m., the crew had exactly 5 hours and 55 minutes. If police breached early, they lost both the vault and their only underground exit. The crew walked through contingencies. What if the police breached early at hour 3 instead of hour 6? The vault team would retreat through the tunnel immediately, taking whatever they had. What if the tunnel collapsed? Abort. What if a hostage had a medical emergency? Release them and recalibrate.
At exactly 1:05 we enter. By 7 p.m., the vault is empty and we're a kilometer away. If anything goes wrong before that, we leave with what we have.
The escape route was Garcia Bolster's masterpiece. From the vault, the tunnel connected to a branch of the Buenos Aires sewer network. A brick-arched drainage channel large enough for men carrying heavy bags. Garcia Bolster procured inflatable rubber boats. He mapped the waterway from the connection point to a street drain more than a kilometer away. He tested the route himself, paddling through the darkness at night, counting turns, measuring distances.
More than a kilometer through the sewer. In the boats, roughly 20 minutes. If it rains, double that.
Rain was the variable they couldn't control. Buenos Aires summers brought unpredictable storms. If the sewers flooded on the day of the heist, the escape route would be impassable. They chose the date, January 13, 2006, a Friday, summer. The weather forecast was clear. 27 months of preparation had produced a tunnel, an escape route, a choreographed distraction, and a crew of 6 men about to walk into a bank with toy guns. Tomorrow, Fernando Araujo would either execute the most perfect heist in history or spend the next 20 years behind bars. The afternoon sun was bright over Acassuso. Inside Banco Rio, the Friday rhythm was ordinary. Tellers at their windows, customers in line, the hum of air conditioning and quiet conversation. 23 people were in the building. At 1:05 p.m., 6 men entered through the front doors. Vitet Selene stepped forward. Gray suit, calm voice. A replica pistol in his right hand, indistinguishable from the real thing to anyone looking at it.
Nobody needs to get hurt. Everyone, please, sit down on the floor. We just need some time.
The bank floor dropped to its knees. Tellers, customers, a security guard. 23 people lowered themselves to the marble in a silence broken only by the sound of the front door locking. Within 90 seconds, Vitet was on the phone with police. The performance had begun. Vitet had less than 6 hours to hold their focus before silence risked an early breach. Below him, 147 boxes still stood locked behind steel. For 3 hours, Vitet controlled the room and the officers outside. He released 2 hostages, asked for water, and kept negotiators calm with small talk. Outside, the response escalated. SWAT teams, armored vehicles, snipers on rooftops, news helicopters circling.
All units hold position at the perimeter. The package is still inside.
Copy that. Maintaining visual on the main end.
Every weapon, every lens, every radio frequency pointed at the front door of Banco Rio, exactly as planned.
Release the women first. Show us you're reasonable.
Of course, we're very reasonable people.
2 floors below the performance, the vault team was already at work. They had descended through the tunnel from the rented storefront, emerging into the vault level through the breach Garcia Bolster had engineered. The vault door was bypassed entirely. They entered from beneath. 147 safe deposit boxes lined the walls. Steel, locked, private. De la Torre moved methodically, box by box. Some pried, some drilled, some unlocked with specialized tools. Each box opened, contents removed, packed into heavy-duty bags. Cash, jewelry, bearer bonds, documents, gold. Hour 4, upstairs, Vitet ordered pizza. He ordered enough for everyone. Hostages, crew, the delivery driver who was escorted in by a tactical officer. One of the hostages mentioned it was her birthday. Vitet led the room in a rendition of Happy Birthday.
Happy birthday. What a day to be at the bank, right?
The police negotiators were baffled. This was the strangest hostage situation they had ever encountered. The man in the gray suit didn't seem like a criminal. He seemed like a host. Below, box 93 opened, then 94, then 95. By hour 5, the vault was nearly stripped clean already. De la Torre had emptied 147 boxes in under 5 hours. The crew carried the bags through the tunnel to the sewer connection point. Garcia Bolster had the inflatable boats ready. They loaded the bags onto the boats, stepped in, and pushed off into the darkness. More than a kilometer through the Buenos Aires sewer system in total darkness, carrying an estimated $20 million in cash and valuables. 22 minutes later, the first boat reached the exit point. A street drain on a residential road more than a kilometer from the bank. One by one, the crew climbed out into the early evening light. A van was waiting. They loaded the bags. They climbed in.
Drive. Don't speed.
The van pulled away from the curb. Behind them, to the south, nearly 300 armed officers still surrounded an empty building. The hostages were alive. The criminals were gone. The vault was empty, and nobody had noticed. At 7 p.m., after 30 minutes of complete silence from inside the bank, the police commander ordered the breach. The tactical team entered expecting resistance. They found none. 23 hostages, alive and unharmed, seated on the floor of the main banking hall. They blinked into the tactical flashlights. Some were still holding paper plates from the pizza. The commander descended to the vault level. The damage was comprehensive. Every safe deposit box in the facility, all 147 of them, had been forced open and emptied. The total estimated value, Nearly $20 million in cash, jewelry, gold, bearer bonds, and private documents. The criminals had not left through any door, any window, or any exit. They had left through the floor. The tunnel was discovered within hours, a precisely engineered passage running from the vault under the street to a rented storefront nearby. Police found the inflatable boats abandoned in the drainage channel. The trail went cold at a street drain over a kilometer away. On the table near the bank entrance, the officers cataloged the evidence. A row of toy guns, cheap plastic replicas, lined up neatly, almost as a joke, and a handwritten note in Spanish. In a neighborhood of rich people without weapons or grudges, it's just money, not love.
These aren't real weapons. None of them. Not a single one.
The Argentine media named it immediately, El Robo del Siglo, the robbery of the century. For months, the investigation produced no arrests. The crew had been meticulous, false names, paid in cash leases, no fingerprints, no DNA. Then, months later, a spending pattern linked to one crew member tripped a financial flag. A detail unrelated to the heist itself, but enough to give investigators their first lead. The thread unraveled slowly. Fernando Araujo was identified, then Mario Vitet Salanes, then Sebastian Garcia Bolster, then Alberto de la Torre. One by one, the crew was arrested. They went quietly. No resistance, no violence. Consistent with the code they had followed from the beginning. Each was tried, convicted, and sentenced. Each served their time, and each eventually was released. The heist was adapted into a major Argentine film, El Robo del Siglo, released in 2020. The story became part of Buenos Aires folklore. The tale of the artist, the engineer, the performer, and the vault man who robbed a bank in the wealthiest neighborhood in the country. Without firing a single real bullet, without injuring a single person, and without forgetting to order pizza. Most of the $20 million was never recovered. The police investigation could account for only a fraction of the stolen goods. The rest, wherever it went, stayed gone. Fernando Araujo, the artist, the karate instructor, the mastermind, had proved something that law enforcement manuals still haven't fully processed. That a bank can be robbed with toy guns. That a hostage crisis can be a performance. That the most dangerous weapon in a heist isn't a firearm. It's patience. $20 million is still out there somewhere. And somewhere in Buenos Aires, the man in the gray suit is smiling.